Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a video for you called the Tmartn problem, which in my case, the biggest problem that I have with Tmartn is that I'm still playing video games with him and you guys absolutely hate this person and leave me lots of colorful comments. And you would say, why would I even play with this scumbag who stole money from children? This is especially odd for you, given that you hold yourself to such high standards here on your channel, and that's something that I do. I don't do clickbait. I don't do any of those weird coins or free COD points or free V-Bucks apps, no crummy low-quality sponsors. I don't work with Facebook. I don't do any of that multi-level marketing stuff that some people do on YouTube. And by the way, if you work for any company that says it's multi-level marketing, you should get out right now before you lose all your money. And of course, I don't do casinos. Not only do I work to distance myself from this, but I often also harshly criticize people for doing things that are unethical, for things that I find unethical that even many of you don't. I'm actually a pretty big critic. I feel like some days I feel like I'm a hall monitor just waiting to crush somebody's spirits and do a sort of great value Keemstar-esque exposed video. So it looks pretty strange on this channel that I'm still playing and posting commentaries with Tmartn in them without any criticism on his part. Why would I be playing with the devil himself? Because as far as gaming is concerned, Tmartn is probably the #1 villain on all of gaming still because of CSGO Lotto. So today we're going to talk a lot about forgiveness, personal growth, and good stuff like that, but we'll do that later. I'm sure what a lot of you want to hear is my opinion on CSGO Lotto and why it was super, super bad and unethical. We'll be talking about morals, which for just going to do a quick run through on this. Morals is your personal belief. Morals is what I believe to be true, good, and right, and that'll vary from different people. Psychopaths have really weird morals. Really good choir boys have very strict morals. Ethical means widely accepted best practices, like doctors will make ethical guidelines, FTC makes ethical guidelines, we'll be talking about that. And legal is whatever the government says. Things can be legal and immoral and unethical. Something can be moral to you and unethical to a group and illegal at the same time. So it's really a little bit complicated, and the short version is that I found CSGO Lotto and Tmartn's behavior to be immoral and unethical, and I personally wouldn't want any money from that kind of business. I would just rather be broke than participate in that. I would just rather be homeless. So let's run through CSGO Lotto before we move into anything else. Back in 2016 and 2017, Tmartn ran a website called CSGO Lotto. Pro Syndicate was also a part owner of this website, but for whatever reason, he managed to escape the vast majority of the heat. He just kind of stepped aside and let it all pile on Tmartn. He didn't get dicked on nearly as hard. CSGO Lotto was one of many very, very popular CSGO gambling sites. It was probably the most popular at the time because Trevor paid to market it heavily, which we'll talk about soon, of course. And if I remember this website correctly, because I actually saw it, I checked it out even though I didn't use it, they were kind of like high-stakes wager matches. You could bet your $20,000 skin against somebody else's $20,000 skin or against the house, and you could bet on pro matches, you could bet with friends, you could bet on like group outcomes. There was lots of like betting, but it was like person-to-person betting. Thankfully, it wasn't one of those horrible things where you open up like fake loot boxes and you get fake coins, or you open up a skin box where you could totally win a skin. The majority of it was interpersonal bets or betting against the website, and Tmartn and thus CSGO Lotto functioned more like a broker. He made some percentage off of all of these transactions. And at the time, CSGO gambling was like all the rage in Europe. It was the hottest thing to do gaming-wise. It was super popular in the US as well. This was the absolute height of CSGO. As a matter of fact, the CSGO Lotto Scandal managed to bring down CSGO as an esport and many other things. But this wasn't just Tmartn. This was all over. This was like the coolest thing, and Steam allowed it, debatably endorsed it. And as an adult, like as a fully functional legal adult who can gamble and spend my money how I saw fit, I thought it was pretty cool at the time. I was like, wow, if I want to do like $100, $3,000 wager matches, some big money stuff, I can do that. That's kind of an adrenaline rush. Some people have fun with that. However, I do not think that casinos are clean money. Gambling is addictive. Some people's brains are literally not capable of understanding the odds. Some people gamble not as entertainment, but literally as an investment. They get their paycheck, they go straight to the casino, and they gamble to invest the money and make it back or whatever. And I've seen this ruin families. I've seen children go hungry. I've seen people fall into alcoholism. I've seen people kill themselves. I've seen weird life insurance murder schemes. It's really bad stuff. which is why, again, I would rather just be broke than run a casino. I think I would just rather sleep on the street. At least I wouldn't have to cause other people harm. However, on the flip side of that, I don't think that running a casino is the dirtiest money. It's not the worst thing on the planet. Obviously, like drug dealing, money laundering, kidnapping, selling people into sexual slavery, terrorism, all that other sort of stuff, that's way worse ways to make money. That's infinitely worse. And for some people, myself included, because I do go to casinos on occasion, casinos are just for entertainment. It's entertainment as a service and not a way of life. You have your money that you can expend, you go and you spend that money on entertainment, and in this case it is obviously the high stakes wagers, the drinks, girls, whatever. And that's okay. If you want to go to the casino just to visit and have fun and have that kind of attitude, that's great. Good for you. So running a casino isn't the worst thing. I'm not going to go full hall monitor choir boy on you here, but it's definitely not for me. For my personal morals, that's lower than where I want to go with my life. The part where this starts really becoming unethical or illegal is when it comes to disclosures. The FTC requires that celebrities, YouTubers, Instagrammers, actors, models, anybody that does marketing on a person-to-person level to disclose paid sponsorship or if they got goods for free. You'll see this in videos all over YouTube. For instance, if you look down there in the description, you'll see the first link is to Origin PC, and I'll say this video is sponsored by Origin PC because they made and gave me the computer for free that this video is being made and edited on, and I'm legally required to do one sponsorship shout out for them per month. But the point of that is, obviously their computers are awesome. You're supposed to call it out in the video, have it in the description, have some text on screen. It's supposed to be really, really clear that you're being paid for something. You'll see these things all the time. Audible, you'll see a lot of gaming stuff and Astro and whatever. You'll see the Life Help website that turned out to be kind of a scam. You'll see this for video games. Ubisoft and EA, especially mobile games, they pay a lot. You'll see like, I'm doing some sponsored work in the future, and you'll see, hey, this video was sponsored by insert big publisher here. It's a good way to know which companies are paying and which ones aren't. However, Tmartn decided to skip this step. He didn't do this very important legal step. It is an FTC regulation, but instead he opted for, I found this website. Hey, I found this neat little website. Check out this thing I found. And there was no sponsored disclosure at all. Now, there's a unique little caveat to this, and it's sort of his legal mental justification for the whole thing, and that was that he wasn't getting sponsored. To be perfectly honest with you, Tmartn, in any legal definition, was not sponsored by CSGO Lotto. He just owned the website. But since he owned it, nobody was paying him to promote it. There was no contract between him and the company. It was just him doing it to benefit his own company. So that was actually not against FTC guidelines at the time, and therefore not illegal. Obviously, he owned the website, he made money from it, and he should have done the ownership disclosures. This type of behavior is unethical by most people's standards, and by most organizations they would hold that to be unethical, because it circumvents the spirit of the law, which is designed around informing consumers so that they can make smart choices. And personally, on a moral level, I find it to be a type of lie. It's deception through withholding information. So those were very bad things, and in my opinion, significantly worse than just running a casino. However, since the law itself wasn't broken, there were no fines and obviously no jail time. I know a lot of people were wanting to see Tmartn behind bars getting railed by the biggest, meanest dude in there. But that was never even an option. That was never even on the table. Like, for this kind of white-collar crime, and especially when you get into like little nuances in laws like that, the FTC would almost always use monetary instruments. You'd have to do something absurd to get arrested. So jail was never really going to happen. There could have been big fines, but there wasn't because there were no rules in place. So the FTC decided no fines, and instead to completely change their rules and make my life, every gaming company, every publisher, every microtransaction company's life way harder. Because of Tmartn, when I went to go open my business account at the bank, I literally had to fill out documents saying that I would not run an online casino and that I would not run a gaming casino and stuff like that. It's bananas. So moving on from that, there were some things that were very popularly said about Tmartn that just didn't happen. The number one that you'll hear most often is rigging results so that everybody lost. I can tell you right now that's not true. I found out about CSGO Lotto, I think it was the day of, maybe the day before the whole big expose thing broke. I was in LA with Tmartn for a Call of Duty event. I think we just played Infinite Warfare. It was terrible. But we were sitting around the table talking about it, and CSGO Lotto came up. And I learned about the business that day, and I asked him about this, and I'm like, do you rig the results? Do you just like pick winners and losers? Your friends lose, do people get prizes? And his answer was that he decided to make the casino fair, and that makes it more legal, as a matter of fact. And he didn't rig any games. He didn't just pick winners or losers. He did some marketing stuff where he like gifted himself skins. But if you gambled on CSGO Lotto, you didn't get ripped off. You just lost your gamble. And I talked to him about it, and the answer is the same answer you'll get from anybody that manages a casino anywhere on the planet, is that you don't have to rig the casino. The casino is literally rigged against you from the get-go. The moment you step in the door, the odds are not in your favor. You can change the odds to be higher, to be lower. A lot of casinos are looking at somewhere between 2 and 5% payout, which means that if I come in there with $100, the casino is going to get 5 of it on average, no matter what. There's no escaping that sort of logic. And casinos can move these little margins up and down. And all Tmartn did was make money based on the volume of traffic, which is why it was so heavily marketed. I think he set his margins at like 4% or something like that. So anytime money flowed in, he just got 4% of it. And he didn't have to rig anything. It was totally unnecessary. I will say that this was not true for all YouTubers and streamers and whatever. There was like CSGO Wild and a couple of other crazy ones where no prizes were given to anybody ever, and they were just straight rips. There were lots of people that did way more illegal and unethical stuff, but it all stuck to Tmartn because he was the face of it. Number 2, scamming children. Tmartn steals money from children, literally breaks into their cribs, kicks that toddler in the face to get their baby teeth out. He helps them, their baby teeth will come back in, and steals their money. No, that didn't really happen. Almost all the marketing was designed for young adults, and the other little sliver was like for older, rich, professional people that still played CSGO. The odds were fair. You didn't lose your bets because Tmartn hated you. You just lost because it's gambling. And it was pretty much designed to attract college students. College students, and especially rich college students, were the #1 target demographic. Obviously, though, some children did gamble on this website because that's just going to happen anyway. I mean, God bless. Imagine the amount of underage kids on Pornhub right now. Stricter controls could have been put in place on age verification and to discourage underage gambling and to keep kind of kiddos off the site. But honestly, I don't think anybody really cared at CSGO Lotto. To me, that is immoral, and by most people, you would probably say it's unethical. Legal is kind of a wishy-washy one here because that's a very common business practice. If you're doing something in business that's not illegal, even if it's a little sketchy, the vast majority of corporations and even government entities will completely turn a blind eye and pretend it's just not a problem. So when it came to children and underage people gambling on the website, they were by far not the biggest group. But they were there, and I don't think Tmartn or anybody else thought it was a big enough deal to warrant any attention whatsoever, and we'll just not pay attention to this and kind of collect the money. So after all of that, you're going to want to ask me, why weren't you the very first person to jump out and criticize Tmartn? Why didn't you slam your friend into the ground for being a scumbag, for being so horrible and unethical? Why you were completely silent on the matter, and I was silent on Twitter, on YouTube, and a lot of places, not on stream. I had a lot of colorful opinions on stream, but a lot of places, silent. So why is that? And the short answer is that I didn't feel that it was necessary. The entire internet got on Tmartn and to a lesser degree Syndicate in hours. And by entire internet, I mean dozens of threads on Reddit with millions of views. 4chan, H3H3, Keemstar, 8 Thoughts was a big one. He ended up on national news, like literally like national broadcast news, international news all over the world, newspapers. Even my parents found out and asked me about this Tmartn guy. There's no place on the planet that he could have gone to escape the news at the time. It was that big of a story. And believe me, there were plenty of criticisms and death threats and all sorts of weird threats and lawsuits hurled and all sorts of horrible, hateful stuff. There isn't one single thing I could think of to say that this man hasn't seen 10 times before. So I just kind of took a step back and I looked at the fire that was burning all around Tmartn, and I just decided that there was no need for me to boldly jump in here and say the same things that everybody else said before and kind of white knight and be some big virtue signaling kind of guy. It was not necessary. The damage was done. It was going to happen. I didn't need to do anything. So I sat back and I just kind of watched Tmartn for a bit, and there was serious consequences for CSGO Lotto. There was a really hefty price to pay for this. Number one, his main channel's dead. He posted videos on it kind of sporadically. It's pretty much dead now. It struggled back then. The main channel is pretty much a complete loss. I'd be surprised if Tmartn comes back to his main channel. And that is I'm going to guess, 6-figure, maybe super low 7-figure income somewhere on that channel evaporated. There was the loss of the CSGO website itself, and rightfully so, of course. That's probably another 7 figures gone, maybe more. I don't know. I have no idea how much money actually flowed through the site. I know there were massive legal fees. I did talk to Trevor through all this, and he had a lot of lawyers. A lot of lawyer fees. It wasn't cheap. It's ridiculous. More money than most of us will make in years. Loss of most of the sponsors. There were sponsors that just completely noped out, stepped away from Tmartn, no more, along with the inability to get future sponsorships. I know to this day, this man cannot work with some companies. He cannot do some events. He is excluded from some things for life because of CSGO Lotto. Speaking of that, he got banned from several major gaming events. He could not attend gaming events, typically by those of AAA publishers, and that's been eased off in the last year or so. He's able to go most places, but couldn't go. No visiting. The personal brand is literally tarnished forever. The Tmartn brand is not going to be recovering anytime soon. And that is a huge financial and personal loss. There were innumerable death threats. Death threats piled up so high. I don't know how much money this man spent on security, both people and fortifying the house like Fort Knox. So I just decided to sit back, watch, and I saw this happen, and I said to myself, you know what, that's punishment enough. I don't need to do anything about this. There's nothing I can do that's worse than that. This man doesn't need another spanking from daddy. Like, what am I going to do anyway, right? So moving along, the question is, why still play with this guy? He did something really bad. Why not just walk away and never speak to this person ever again? And the real honest-to-God answer to that is that Tmartn is a friend, and I'm just a giant softie. I just got a big heart, and that's me, and it gets me in trouble all the time, and it gets me hurt, and it blows up in my face, but hopefully I still have a big heart when I die. Hopefully I don't die due to enlarged heart. That'd be really ironic. But I've known Tmartn since 2012, 2013-ish, when we started doing Call of Duty events together. We've been to probably 50 plus events around the US. I don't know if I saw him at international events or not. He doesn't international a whole lot. We worked with each other or against each other for dozens of Call of Duty footages and contents. The man has offered advice not only on my channel, but finances and personal stuff and a lot of stuff. Some of his advice has helped shape content that you've seen on this channel, whether you know it or not. We hung out dozens of times, probably hundreds of meals. I can't keep track of playing all the games. We did Pinkwall together in Dallas with Legion and Impulse, which was amazing. Pinkwall is super fun. And I can't sit here and tell you that Tmartn is my closest, bestest, IRL, see you every day friend that's going to be the best man at my wedding, my second wedding. I'm going to marry a man this time, and he's going to be my best man. That's what that's going to be. But like, that's not true, obviously. Like, I've got other friends, but I do count Tmartn as a friend, especially in the gaming space. It's really hard to reach out and connect with people. It's a lot harder than you would think. And because Trevor is a friend, and because the punishment was severe, I just decided to forgive him. Not that he really needed or asked for my forgiveness for that matter, but I reached out to him just once, not long after all this happened, and I told him that what he did was wrong. And basically he just said, yeah, I know. I fucked this up completely, was his answer. And I told him, yeah, you did. You fucked it up. It was wrong. And I told you good luck with the storm that's coming. I hope it's not too bad. And I just moved on, and I did keep in contact. We still played games. We still hung out at events and stuff. I didn't just throw my friends away, because that's just not the kind of guy that I am, and I'm just a very forgiving person in general. God, it gets me sometimes. I mean, look, I forgave 8 Thoughts, and he caused me, I don't know how much damage to my personal brand. If I put a number on it, it'd be well into the 6 figures. Birdman for harassing my wife, Horse60 and his friends for their death threats and stuff. I've kissed and made up with all of these people, loads of other people too. I just try not to hold grudges. I try to forgive, forget, and move on. And I try really hard to see the good in people and to try to be the kind of person that brings out the best attributes of other people. I don't want to be the guy that drags people down. I want to be the guy that builds them up and makes them better. Even maybe not so great people can be made into something better. And yeah, a bad deed was done, a punishment was doled out, and since then I have chosen to forgive and move on. Definitely not forget, though. I almost never forget. Man, I know the Bible says forgive and forget, but the brain just does not forget. I can't make it forget. To many of you, Tmartn is the devil himself. He is Satan incarnate. He is the embodiment of evil in the gaming space. But the honest truth, if God himself were to come down and snap his fingers and put Tmartn under a microscope and dissect all his little parts for us to see, you'd see that Tmartn's a good guy who made a bad mistake. A lot of people make bad mistakes. My God, if you'd seen the mistakes that I've made in my life, you would absolutely hate me. You would want me in jail. Hell, some of the things I've done I definitely deserve to be in jail for. But people change, and they move on, and they get better. And on top of that, there's far worse people on YouTube and Twitch. Like, holy God, there are some awful people out there. If I wanted to make an exposed video and go on about everybody's illegal or unethical stuff, I could fill Drama Alert for a week. There would be stuff that would blow your minds. But that's kind of not my business, and also I don't like getting sued, so I'm not going to really participate in that. I want my channel to be something more positive and less hateful. So in the future, I'm going to continue to occasionally post videos with Tmartn in them. And I hope that many of you choose to forgive the man and move on and that you're okay with it. Or you can tell me that I'm a bleeding heart liberal cuck in the comments section. I'm sure I'll get about 45 of those as well. Guys, that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.